Hey guys, I'm Evan and this is Magnolias in Sunlight, and today is day 18 of DIY or Die, my series where we make a Halloween inspired DIY project every day in the month of October. And I'm refilming this because our first attempt at this project did not go to plan, so I am giving you guys two ways today to make faux stained glass. Technically, they both worked. I'm hoping one of them is drying right now as I film this, so I'm hoping that reveal works out better than the first version. But let's rewind. So my plan was to make faux stained glass bats because I love this bat. I got that one for my friend for her birthday. She also loves bats, and I thought this stained glass bat was so cute. It is linked down below. I also then went on a rabbit hole, and there are so many incredible stained glass artists. So if you love stained glass, I highly recommend supporting a stained glass artist and getting some really cool, like a bat or something fun for Halloween. It is an unexpected decor item, but if you're like me and you want something that's a little more lightweight that I can just stick to my windows, this is a cool faux version. And like I said, you're gonna find out how to do it in two different ways. So the first step is you're going to take this gallery glass and we are going to outline some shapes. Obviously, I will show you all of this, but then I decided to try and fill the shapes with colored resin, and it was a mess. It was a hot mess and I hated it. Luckily, my husband came home when I was like upset about how bad this looked. I genuinely wasn't gonna post this video, and he complimented them and said they were super cool without me telling him how upset I was. It was just an unprompted compliment on how much he liked them. I have since shared them with a few friends who have also said that they think they're cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and share them with you because maybe you'll like them. I think I just got so burnt out on the process that I just wasn't happy with how they turned out. So I went ahead and ordered the actual gallery glass kit. I had a gift card at Amazon, so I figured I might as well try this out. And so far, I'm liking these better. They're still drying. I have to wait and see. You'll see them in the reveal, and I will give my full thoughts in the outro. But that's a rundown on day 18. You get two projects when only one was planned. I thought I failed. I might not have failed. I would love to hear your comments down below, what you think about the resin version of this project. The cool thing is that I did hang them on my windows using double-sided tape, and that's all you need. And then you can pack them up in wax paper and store them flat for next year. So we're gonna dive right into both of these projects. I will show you the resin one first, then I will show you the gallery glass segment. Obviously the first step of outlining everything is similar. It's just filling in your colored areas. So let me know which one you prefer. Let me know if you think the first one is a fail like I thought it was. Now I don't know. And I hope you guys enjoy this one. It's been a journey. Let's dive in. So step one, I'm gonna go ahead and just trace this bat because I like this shape. I don't have a lot of resin to work with, so I don't want to make anything that's too huge, but I would also like to be able to make a couple, obviously in case one doesn't work, we'll have options. So I'm going to do two of these, and then I'm also going to quickly look online and see if there's another shape that I like, and then we can draw that one or trace it. Okay, now we're at the point where we need to start making decisions. So these are miniature versions of the ones that I found on Michael's. These three are like the we're gonna risk it and go all out, and I think these three lined up in like a tier could be really cool. Our kit is technically a jewelry making kit, so I'm wondering if I could utilize some of the jewelry making components to make a hanging bat tier, 3-tier hanger. Could be a cool way to repurpose that. And then this was my original idea. I don't know if I love these as much as the other ones, so I think we're definitely gonna make these two. And then I think we're gonna do these 2 and these 3. And these are all from my Cricut. I just traced them onto the paper. And then, like I said, those are from the Michaels website, and I traced those as well. This is the back of the acetate sheet packaging. So I think we're gonna lay this down, and I obviously wanna try and get as many out of one of these sheets as possible. Cricut acetate sheets have film on them. Obviously, you don't want to put this on top of the film because then there's a chance that it will peel off. So I'm going to take the film off of one side. I'm going to leave the film on this side for now. And I am going to make these 3 bats because those are my favorites. And I practiced with this on the other easier shapes, and I think I've got it down. Okay, so voiceover mode, because the vent hood is on, you need some kind of airflow and ventilation to do this project. You also need to read the directions, which is not something I normally am good about doing, but resin is pretty toxic and can be kind of sketchy. So definitely read your directions for the kit that you got so you know what you're doing. And then we just unpacked the kit, and I only got out the pieces that we were going to use, and I left a bunch of stuff in here because this was a jewelry making kit. We don't need all of it. And the kit comes with gloves, and I kind of hated them, so I threw those out and got my own. And then we're going to mix our resin. So this is the part A, and then the yellowy one is part B. You mix them 1 to 1, and this measuring cup had, you can't see them, but tick marks on them. So I filled it up to 2, so 1 of each. And that seemed to be enough to do all of these projects. I intended to go back and do more, but you have already heard how much I disliked this process and this project, so we did not go back and make more. I have kept the rest of this kit, and I can use it again later as long as those things don't dry up. And then we went in with the alcohol ink and just made up our colors. So that was purple. It kind of exploded a little bit out of the side of the cap, but no worries. And then we did blue and then green, and then I made a combo blue-green, which ended up kind of being the same color, blue, but there's a little variation there. So to apply the color, the kit comes with these pipettes, which I do end up using later on. Obviously they came with the kit, and so I wanted to see what it was about, but I found that it was really hard to not get air in the tube as well as the resin that you're trying to pour, and it kept popping and sending like specks of color everywhere. At this point, obviously, I didn't know that everything was eventually going to blend like it did, so I was trying to avoid that popping. I did find on these bigger segments, it was easier to just pour out a little amount and then kind of force it into the little areas using the popsicle stick that came with the kit. And then for the really small areas, like on this curly bat down below, I will eventually go back in and use the pipette. And at that point, I knew that everything was going to blend anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. So you can see here, I just went in with different colors and was still doing that pouring method. And I noticed here that it was starting to jump that line and was getting a little concerned, but things were still going okay. We were still chugging along. We weren't totally over the project yet. And like you can see here, honestly, these were not, like, even though I'm pouring and I'm not using the pipette, things were staying in their little regions. I wasn't really having a problem with anything jumping the gallery glass leading. not yet at least. So this pour and smooth out method was 100% working for me. There were a few droplets off of the container that I was trying to keep an eye on. So make sure if you're trying to keep your project really clean, make sure that you are not letting the cup go over your other pieces, basically, because sometimes you will get little droplets that fall off if you're not wiping the edge every time after you pour. Okay, I want to show you guys a few things. So what I've learned from this kit, this paper they give you with all of the divots causes bleed. And it needs to be completely flat. So I've used a lot of this to try and weigh it down, but like this weepage, this situation is because of these creases in the wax paper that came with the kit. So that makes me a little annoyed. Some of this is just me over pouring, but I think because I like a mottled glass, I'm gonna embrace it. I'm gonna take a toothpick and I'm gonna just swirl it even more and see what that turns into, because it's already messed up. So we might as well like do it on purpose. Get a little bit more blue over there and just see what that looks like, because like we're already here. It's already bled. It's already messed up. And I want these to be cool, like Suncatchers, so who cares if they're a little tie-dye, right? I don't want the colors to blend and turn into another color. I just want to kind of like swirl the colors together. Okay guys, at this point, I don't even know if I'm gonna post this. They're not terrible. I don't love the colors. These are all the extra ones up here. I just had extra resin and I already had like used the glass stuff. Again, this is just because this seam is not, no matter how much I weigh it down, it was too late. It already gushed, so I can see if I can cut that up. These ones over here, not bad. A little tie-dye. Again, I'm just not loving the color. That teal is not something that I like. This one was going really well, and then, I don't know, I just turned around and it had bled. So this might be our first DIY or die death. I'm ready to call it, but I'll get some opinions because maybe I'm just being a defeatist, but we'll see. You may or may not ever see this footage, and if you do, hopefully I am also giving you a better option, because this isn't it. All right, so like I just said, I went ahead and bought the Gallery Glass products. I had a coupon, so I figured I might as well, or a gift card, not a coupon. I might as well buy the real thing and see if I don't like this project, or if I just wasn't a fan of the resin situation, or what the deal was. But I have my original leading, and I'm just gonna keep using this until I'm like it's empty. I have a new bat. I have our original bats. I'm going to do another sheet of this acetate and see what I think about using these versus the resin. I don't know. I want to see if this is just a bad idea, or maybe I'm being too hard on myself. I don't know. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was, but I want to try and work as much product down into the bottom of this, because it started to like burp a little bit when I was doing this the other day, and I don't obviously want that. I want very clean lines. I also decided last minute that I wanted to make a corner web using like the clear and then trying to make it be textures. I think there's some tutorials online, and if there are, I will share what they are, where you can use the clear of this to make like textured glass or faux textured glass. And I am a sucker for a good piece of mid-century textured glass. Starburst glass, ooh, bottle bottom glass, big fan. Well, I don't think I can do that one. I do think we can make some cool textured glass. So I'm gonna try that on this. That line is not cute, but we'll, you know, figure out how to clean this up at the end. So for this bottom one, this spider web, I'm not going to use any color. I just want to use the white and the clear, and I want to try and create some like marbled areas. I want to create some textured areas. I am a sucker for textured glass, and so I think this could be cool. Like, can you do faux reeded glass? We just do like lines. Then like I'll do some that are just plain clear and plain white so that we don't have every section its own texture. Like I feel like that would maybe, it could look beautiful, but it also might be too much. But what if we do like a dot pattern? Oh, that's a big bubble. That's the one thing I don't like about these products is they do kind of like get air bubbles in the nozzle every once in a while, and it doesn't happen often. It's not worth like not using these over, but I think I said it in one of the previous bits where we were doing the leading, like sometimes it burps and you're like, whoa, and you jump and then it messes things up. But okay, so now what if we did like, let me be very clear. I have no idea how any of this is going to dry, but it looks cool. So I'm willing, like this is, I watched a couple techniques, right? And for this crystal clear, the technique that they showed, which I'll do here, was just like kind of making these curly cues and then like leaving blank areas. And then it just dries in that texture, and like then you don't fill it in, which is fine, but like that's fun too. So that's the whole web filled in. I did like some thinner, like less product here for the starbursts, and then this one, and then some areas up here. My worst nightmare happened when I started using the white. I didn't realize I forgot to switch over. So keep an eye on that if you're using both of these in tandem, because a lot of this up here is going to be white texture when I meant for it to be the crystal clear texture. I'm not going to know which one these are until they dry, because I can't tell, and I was just in the zone and I wasn't really paying attention, obviously. But if this all turns out the way I think it should dry down, this might be one of my favorite pieces I've ever made. And that's saying a lot. Like, I'm really excited to see how this turns out. It might not turn out, but I'm fingers crossed that it will. All right, so here are my final comments. I think the finish that I got with the resin, the really smooth finish, maybe was better than the gallery glass versions. I went in hard on trying to marble the glass, and I think in some areas it worked really well, and I think in some areas it just looks a little messy. I'm a lot happier with the colors I got from the gallery glass though, so I think I will go back and try some different techniques. However, the web I love. There's definitely the areas where the white was supposed to be the clear that I might want to go back and fix, but I think that turned out really, really cool. And overall, I don't think this was necessarily a fail, but maybe just a steeper learning curve than I was expecting. And I found a few things that I want to give another try another time. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 19.